Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. Our topic is India during the medieval period. This is the first slide, which is our cover slide, so I'll keep it brief. Today, we'll explore the fascinating history of India in the medieval era, including key events, rulers, and cultural developments. So, let's dive into this captivating period of Indian history. Let's take a look at the contents of this presentation. We start with studying the medieval map of India, which helps us understand the geographical and political landscape of that time. Moving on, we'll explore the changes in modern India, highlighting how the past has shaped the present. We will also delve into questions related to medieval sources, encouraging us to think critically about the evidence we have. Next, we'll ask some fundamental questions to guide our understanding, such as what defines the medieval period and how it transitions into modern history. We'll then get an overview of the medieval period itself, setting the stage for more detailed discussions. As we progress, we'll examine the emergence of new social and political groups. These were crucial in shaping medieval Indian society. We'll look at literary and archaeological sources to understand how history is reconstructed through texts and material remains. From there, we'll see how regional identities evolved into larger empires, illustrating the expansion and consolidation of power. We'll also cover economic changes, which underpinned many of these transformations. Religious traditions played a vital role in shaping society, and understanding these traditions helps us grasp the cultural fabric of medieval India. We'll discuss changing names of regions, reflecting the political and cultural shifts over time. Important foreign travelers and their accounts give us unique outsider perspectives on India during this period, adding depth to our understanding. We'll also look at economic developments, emphasizing trade, commerce, and industry. Sources of the medieval period include not only texts, but also archaeological findings, which together provide a richer picture of history. Finally, we'll consider how foreign invaders introduced new technologies, influencing Indian society and its development. Throughout this presentation, we aim to connect these points to build a comprehensive understanding of medieval India and its significance in the broader historical context. Let's take a moment to study the medieval map of India. As you look at this map, try to absorb the geographical features, the locations of important regions, and the boundaries that existed during that time. Don't worry if you don't remember everything. Just focus on getting a general sense of how India was divided and connected in the medieval period. Now, I want you to answer the questions that follow without flipping back to the map. This exercise is designed to test your understanding of the spatial and cultural landscape of medieval India. Remember, the goal here is to connect what you see on the map with the broader themes we've been discussing about India's historical development, regional diversity, and the interactions between different kingdoms and cultures. By engaging with this activity, you're not just memorizing locations, you're starting to see how geography influenced trade, politics, and cultural exchange during the medieval era. So, keep these points in mind as we move forward in exploring India's rich history. Now, let's move on to some questions to test our understanding. First, can anyone name 5 rivers that are visible on the map? Think about the major rivers that have shaped Indian geography and history. Next, I want you to consider the medieval period in India. Can you recall which kingdoms ruled during that time? Remember, this was a time of diverse dynasties and regional powers. And finally, a more geographical question. How many river kingdoms are located along the banks of these rivers and are known for their fertile lands? These regions were often the centers of prosperity and culture because of their rich soil and access to water. These questions help us connect the physical landscape with historical developments. Rivers and fertile lands played a crucial role in shaping societies, economies, and political boundaries throughout Indian history. Welcome to Slide 5. Here, we're focusing on the broad timeline of Indian history, which is traditionally divided into 3 major periods: the ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. These divisions help us understand how India evolved over thousands of years, with each era marked by unique cultural, political, and social developments. The ancient period covers early civilizations like the Indus Valley and the Vedic Age, laying the foundations for Indian culture. The medieval period includes the rise of kingdoms, empires like the Mughals, and significant religious and cultural exchanges. Finally, the modern period begins with the arrival of Europeans, leading to colonial rule, and ultimately, India's independence. Connecting these periods helps us see the continuity and change across Indian history, shaping the diverse and vibrant nation we explore today. Now, let's turn our attention to the medieval period of India. During this time, we see large-scale changes across various aspects of society. Socially, there were significant transformations in the structure and relationships within communities. Politically, new dynasties emerged, shaping the governance and territorial boundaries. Culturally, art, architecture, and literature flourished, reflecting a rich blend of influences. Religious practices also evolved, with the growth of new sects and the spread of different faiths. Economically, trade expanded, and new industries developed, contributing to the overall prosperity of the region. These changes are crucial because they laid the foundation for many aspects of Indian society that we study today, connecting the past to the present. This period truly reflects a dynamic and transformative phase in Indian history. Now, let's talk about the changes in modern India. As we look around, we see many changes across different areas of life. Some of these changes are positive, like advancements in technology, better healthcare, and improved education. These have made our lives easier and more comfortable. But unfortunately, there are also negative changes, such as environmental pollution, increasing inequality, and some social issues that need attention. It's important to recognize both sides. As future citizens, we can think about how to turn these negative changes into positive ones. For example, we can promote environmental awareness, help reduce pollution, and support inclusive growth. When I grow up, I can play a role by being responsible, caring for the environment, and contributing to society. We can also discuss these ideas in our school assembly, inspiring others to work towards a better India. Remember, each one of us has the power to make a difference, and understanding these changes is the first step. Let's take a closer look at the overview of the medieval period. This era is typically divided into two main phases: the early medieval period, which spans from the 8th to the 12th century, and the late medieval period, covering from the 13th to the 18th century. During this time, we see the rise of significant kingdoms and dynasties that shaped the history of the region. The period begins with the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate, marking the start of Muslim rule in northern India, and continues through the reign of the Mughals, who left a lasting impact on culture, architecture, and governance. It's important to remember that this era isn't just about political changes. It also reflects a rich tapestry of kingdoms like the Palas in the east, the Cholas in the south, the Pratiharas in the northwest, and the Rajputs across various regions. Additionally, the Rashtrakutas played a crucial role in central India's history. All these kingdoms and dynasties, together, illustrate the diversity and complexity of medieval India, connecting to our overall theme of cultural evolution and historical continuity during this fascinating period. Let's talk about the changing names of regions in India. The country is officially called the Republic of India, but it is also known as Bharat. Bharat is a name rooted in our history and culture, and it represents the idea of a union of states coming together as one nation. When we say republic, we mean a form of government where the ultimate power lies with the people, who elect their representatives. It also means that the head of state is elected, either directly or indirectly, rather than being a monarch. Now, Hindustan is another name you might have heard, especially in historical contexts. It's a term that has been used for centuries and often appears in literature and history books. The name Bharat, on the other hand, comes from the legendary figure Bharata, who was the son of Dushyanta. Bharata is a significant figure mentioned in the Mahabharata, one of our great epics, and his name symbolizes the cultural and historical roots of our nation. Connecting this to our overall theme, These different names reflect the rich history, cultural identity, and the evolving political landscape of India. Each name tells a story about who we are and how we see ourselves as a nation. Let's take a look at the historical usage of the name India. The name India has been in use since the 17th century, and it actually comes from the Greek word Indoi, which means the land beyond the river Indus. Interestingly, this name traces back to the Sanskrit name for the river itself, Sindhu. So the origins are quite ancient and connected to the geography of the region. Moving forward in history, during the time of the Delhi Sultanates and the Mughal Empire, the rulers referred to their territories as Hindustan. This term was quite prominent, and a 13th century chronicler named Minhaj-us-Suraj used it to describe areas like Punjab, Haryana, and the lands between the Ganga and Yamuna rivers, areas that were under the Delhi Sultanate's control. Fast forward to the 16th century, and we see Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire, using the term Hindustan to describe not just the geography, but also the culture and the people of the Indian subcontinent. It's important to note that the term Hindustan became more associated with India itself only during the British colonial period, when it took on a more formal and political meaning. So, as you can see, these names, India and Hindustan, each carry a rich historical background, reflecting different eras, rulers, and perspectives. They help us understand how the identity and perception of this land have evolved over centuries, connecting deeply with the overall story of this country's history. When studying the medieval period, historians rely on a variety of sources to piece together the past. One key source is coins, which tell us a lot about the economy, rulers, and trade during that time. Then there are historical buildings, like castles and monasteries, which give us physical evidence of architectural styles and societal organization. Inscriptions are also incredibly valuable. They can be found on monuments, tombs, or everyday objects, providing direct information from the period. Lastly, literature, both religious and non-religious, offers insights into the beliefs, values, and stories that shaped medieval life. All of these sources together help us build a comprehensive understanding of the medieval world and connect to the broader themes of cultural, political, and social history we're exploring today. Let's explore some questions about medieval sources. First, I encourage you to collect old coins and try to see what information you can gather from examining them closely. Think about what the design, inscriptions, or material might tell us about the period they come from. Next, consider your religious scriptures. Have you ever read them? Talk to your parents or grandparents to learn what stories or lessons they remember, as this can give you insights into the spiritual life of that time. Then, I suggest visiting a historical monument in your area. Observe its architecture, inscriptions, and any artwork. What do these features reveal about the culture, beliefs, or technology of the era? Finally, ask yourself, what can paintings, coins, monuments, and inscriptions tell us about the periods they belong to? They serve as windows into history, helping us understand the social, political, and religious aspects of the past. By analyzing these sources, we can piece together a richer picture of medieval life and better appreciate how history is preserved through material culture. Now, let's explore the literary and archaeological sources from this period. As we see, the number and variety of literary records actually increased during this time. It wasn't just about more texts, but also a wider range of genres and purposes. Literates and chroniclers took on important roles by writing chronicles that documented rulers and their deeds, petitions that expressed the needs and requests of different groups, judicial records that recorded legal proceedings, as well as accounts and taxes. These sources are invaluable because they give us a richer, more detailed picture of society, governance, and daily life. They also help us connect to the broader theme of how civilizations preserved their history and organized their societies through written records. So, in essence, this increase in literary sources marks a significant step forward in the development of historical documentation and cultural memory. Now, let's look at how transactions were recorded during this period. Saints and traders kept detailed records of their dealings on these papers, which served as early forms of accounting. These manuscripts weren't just casual notes. They were carefully preserved documents that documented economic activity. We see that wealthy individuals, rulers, monasteries, and temples collected these manuscripts, recognizing their importance. They stored them in archives, creating a sort of historical record of transactions. This practice highlights how record-keeping was valued across different social and religious groups. What's really interesting is that this system of recording transactions laid the groundwork for more complex accounting methods in the future. It also shows how the management of wealth and trade was already becoming organized and methodical. Overall, these manuscripts are a fascinating glimpse into the early efforts to keep track of economic activity, which ultimately helped shape the history of commerce and record-keeping. Let's talk about recording transactions and the important role of scribes in this process. Scribes were responsible for copying manuscripts by hand, which was a crucial task in ancient times. The word scribe specifically refers to someone who copies out documents, especially before the invention of the printing press. Their work was vital for preserving and transmitting information across generations. Understanding their role helps us see how record-keeping has evolved and why accurate documentation has always been essential in managing transactions and information. When scribes copied manuscripts, they often made small changes without even realizing it. These tiny adjustments, over many generations, could add up to quite significant differences between copies of the same text. It's important to remember that medieval chronicles weren't just written by one person or in one place. They were created by court historians, freelancers, and travelers, each bringing their own biases and prejudices into their work. This mix of human influence and copying errors really highlights how our understanding of history can be shaped and reshaped over time. It ties into the overall theme of how historical records are not always perfectly preserved, but are instead influenced by the people who record them. On this slide, we see that one of the most important foreign travelers to India provided an extensive account of his experiences. This highlights how influential and detailed some of these accounts have been in shaping perceptions of India abroad. Such travelers often offered rich, first-hand insights that help to build a vivid picture of the country's culture, geography, and people. Their narratives are crucial because they connect the dots between India's diverse realities and the wider world. When we consider the overall theme of our presentation, it's clear that these accounts serve as valuable bridges, bringing India's story to an international audience and enriching our understanding of its historical and cultural significance. Let's talk about some notable travelers who visited India and left their impressions through their writings. One such traveler traveled extensively all over India and authored a book called Takik-i-Hind, which provides valuable insights into the country during his time. Another interesting figure was a Moorish traveler who visited India during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He wrote a book called Rihla, offering a unique perspective on Indian society and culture. There was also a visitor from the courts of South India. He visited the court of King Krishnadvarya during the Vijayanagar Empire, giving us a glimpse into that powerful and culturally rich empire. Moving to a different part of the world, we have an English ambassador of King James who came to the Mughal court of Jahangir. Sir Thomas Roe is particularly notable here. He spent considerable time at Jahangir's court and documented his experiences, which are important for understanding the diplomatic relationships of that era. All these travelers, from different backgrounds and regions, contributed to our understanding of India's diverse history and culture. Their writings help us connect the dots between different periods and regions, enriching our overall perspective on India's historical landscape. Let's explore slide 19, which focuses on archaeological sources from the medieval period. These sources are incredibly valuable because they give us direct insights into the past, helping us understand not only the events that took place, but also the economic conditions of that time. When we talk about archaeological sources, we're referring to tangible evidence like artifacts, structures, and remnants that have survived through the centuries. Monuments and paintings are also crucial in this context. Monuments often commemorate significant events or figures, and they can tell us a lot about the cultural and political priorities of the period. Paintings, on the other hand, provide a visual narrative of medieval life, offering glimpses into daily routines, fashion, and even societal values. Connecting this to our overall theme, these archaeological sources help us piece together the story of the medieval world in a way that written records alone cannot. They offer a richer, more nuanced understanding of history, revealing the material and visual culture of the time. So, by studying these sources, we gain a deeper appreciation of the economic and social fabric that shaped the medieval period. Let's talk about the emergence of new social and political groups during this period. As we saw earlier, medieval India between 700 and 1750 CE was a time of significant change and interaction. Many foreign invaders were attracted by the immense wealth of India during this time. This influx of invaders didn't just bring conflict, it also led to the formation of new social and political groups. These groups often integrated elements from different cultures, which enriched the social fabric of India. The arrival of these groups also influenced political structures, leading to new administrations and power dynamics. This is a key point because it shows how external influences can shape internal social and political development, which ties into our overall understanding of India's historical evolution during this period. Now, let's look at some of the major invaders that played a key role in shaping the history of the region. First, we have Mahmud Ghazni, a prominent ruler from the Ghaznavid Empire. He was known for his military campaigns into northern India, which significantly impacted the political landscape of the time. His invasions were not just about conquest, but also about spreading his influence and establishing dominance. Next, we have the Turks, who later founded the Delhi Sultanates. These Turkic rulers came into the Indian subcontinent and established a series of powerful dynasties. Their arrival marked a new era, bringing with it new administrative systems, cultural influences, and military strategies. Both Mahmud Ghazni and the Turks were major invaders that contributed to the complex history of conquest, cultural exchange, and political transformation in the region. Their actions set the stage for many of the developments that followed and are essential to understanding how the region evolved over time. Now, let's talk about some of the significant economic changes that took place during this period. As agriculture expanded, it led to the clearing of large areas of forests. This was a major shift, as it transformed the landscape and opened up new land for farming. However, this also meant that forest dwellers, the communities who relied on the forests for their livelihood, were forced to migrate elsewhere once their homes were cut down. This was a challenging and often disruptive change for those communities. At the same time, more and more people began to cultivate the land, increasing food production and supporting larger populations. These changes reflect a broader transition from a primarily forest-based way of life to one centered around agriculture and land use. Overall, these economic shifts played a crucial role in shaping the development of societies and their interaction with the environment during this period. Let's talk about the economic developments during this period. As agricultural products increased, they created more markets, both in rural and urban areas. This led to a boost in trade and commerce, as buyers and sellers engaged more actively with each other. These economic activities also meant that taxes needed to be paid, which helped support the local economies and governments. Farmers and merchants didn't just trade among themselves, they also offered goods and services to local lords. This exchange contributed to the emergence of a socioeconomic hierarchy, with some farmers becoming quite wealthy while others remained poor, and artisans developing specialized skills. Another interesting point is the influence of foreign invaders. They brought with them their own technologies, which they introduced into India. This exchange of technology and ideas played a significant role in shaping the economic landscape. Overall, these developments show how increased agricultural productivity and trade, along with external influences, contributed to a more dynamic and interconnected economy, aligning with the broader theme of societal growth and change during this era. Now, let's look at how foreign invaders introduced new technologies and goods that impacted Indian society. One interesting example is the Persian wheel, which was brought into India by these invaders. It was an innovative way to lift water, helping with irrigation and agriculture. This shows how technological exchanges occurred through conquests. We also see the introduction of firearms in battles, which transformed warfare tactics and had a significant impact on the power dynamics in the region. The adoption of firearms was a major shift from traditional weapons, making conflicts more deadly and changing the way armies fought. Another important point is the introduction of paper for writing purposes. Before this, writing materials were limited, but with paper, record-keeping and communication became easier and more widespread, facilitating administration and cultural exchanges. Finally, these foreign invaders brought several crucial crops and beverages to India, including potatoes, corn, chili, tea, and coffee. These introductions not only diversified Indian agriculture, but also influenced cuisine and daily life, connecting India more closely with global trade networks. Altogether, these technological and cultural exchanges show how foreign invasions played a role in shaping India's history, economy, and society by bringing new ideas, tools, and commodities. So, after looking at how different regions developed, we see that many small kingdoms emerged across medieval India. These kingdoms were often in conflict, vying for more territory and power. One of the most famous conflicts during this period is the tripartite struggle. This was a significant power struggle among three major dynasties: the Palas, the Pratiharas, and the Rashtrakutas. Each of these kingdoms was trying to expand and assert dominance, which really highlights how dynamic and competitive the political landscape was at the time. This struggle played a crucial role in shaping the political boundaries and the history of medieval India, connecting to our overall theme of how regions transitioned into larger empires through these conflicts and alliances. In this final slide, let's explore the major developments in religious traditions during medieval India. One of the most significant ideas that emerged was called Bhakti. This was a movement that emphasized personal devotion and love for God, breaking down many social barriers of the time. It made spirituality more accessible to ordinary people, regardless of their caste or social status. Alongside this, a new religion called Islam appeared in India. This brought new religious ideas and practices. From West Asia, the Sufi tradition also came to India, emphasizing personal piety, love, and devotion. Sufi saints focused on the spiritual bond between the individual and the divine, often using music and poetry to express their devotion. Both Bhakti and Sufi saints shared a powerful message: the gospel of equality for all mankind. This was a revolutionary idea in a society often divided by caste and social hierarchy. These traditions played a vital role in shaping India's diverse religious landscape and contributed to a cultural synthesis that still influences India today. Connecting this to our overall theme, these religious movements highlight how spirituality and social change often go hand in hand, fostering unity and understanding across different communities.